Hakuna Matata, my friend. Few days ago, Canon announced in a new press release that the Canon C70 will receive a new firmware update. It's exciting. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the key updates that I find it really important, that also going to really massively improve the Canon C70. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the exact date which the firmware will be released so that you can download it. So before I get into that video, first give me a thumbs up. You know that YouTube algorithm, when you see thumbs up, you think that the video is great. The video is already great, but make sure that YouTube algorithm understand that. Secondly, I want to reach 2,000 subscribers. You can help me reach 2,000 subscribers if you have not subscribed to my channel here. I'm building a community here. Join the community, right? Thank you. And also, lastly, if you subscribe, when the firmware is out, I'm going to be updating the Canon C70 and I'm going to put it to test. So then you can know exactly what is the firmware update, if for you to update your camera or not. So let's get into the video. I think, the first thing, autofocus. Currently, what we have with the Canon C70 with the new firmware update is that we have face detections, we have subject tracking, we have face AF, which you have two options. One option is face only and the other option is face priority, right? So here is the addition. With the new firmware update, we're going to have eye detection too. So here is eye detection. So the screen that I'm right now showing you, the menu that's the menu of the Canon EOS R5C. Is similar model, right? So what we're going to have eye detection, including into the Canon C70 with that new firmware update. But that's not everything when it comes down to autofocus. So here is one of the juicy addition that is, I think that is really going to improve the Canon C70 in terms of the autofocus. In the current firmware, when you're recording, right, for you, okay, let me put it this way. The autofocus is available for you, you're recording up to 60 frames per second or 60p. When you go above that, you lose autofocus. So with that new firmware update coming, now you can record up to 120 frames per second with autofocus. All right. You can have the face detection, you can have the subject tracking, you can have the face AF, you can have the eye detection up to 120 frames per second. I think that is, for me, is really massive. Because currently, when you shooting 120 frames per second, the camera became just, you have to manually focusing. If you don't know, you think that the autofocus is there, all your footage is going to be out of focus. So it's really important. So I think for me, that's one of massive improvement for the Canon C70, the ability to record up to 120 frames per second with the autofocus with AF. So that's first thing. Second thing is in the recording format. What we have currently in the recording format here, we have XF-AVC, all intra. If you're shooting C-Log, you have the higher dynamic range. And after the C-Log, you have the XF-AVC, which the dynamic range and the flexibility is also higher, but it's not log format. But you still have massive dynamic range there. And then the other option, you have MP4, which the dynamic range also reduce. So if you don't want to, and also I think, yes. Also with the ability to record RAW and those kind of things. But when you're recording RAW, the size is there, it's killing. So what Canon have done now is improving, right, expanding the XF-AVC all intra to be able to record up to 60p. Before, it's only 24 or 25, depending on where you are in that part of the world. In Europe, we have 25. In US, you have 24. So now we can have option like up to 60p in the US and up to 50p in Europe and in the UK. right? That is really, really important. So how that's going to look like, let me show you. It's a little bit similar with the case with the Canon EOS R5C. Yes, but let me add this thing. Because currently the XF-AVC that we are able to record with the Canon C70 is that you have like 410 megabit per second. And with this update, you have up to 600 megabit per second, right? You know, the quality of the image is even higher, but it gives you, again, the flexibility and also the size, the storage also, right? In order not to only record raw for the dynamic range. So for quick, that is a massive option. So how it look like? Let me show you, right? So again, I'm going to use my Canon EOS R5C menu to show you that, because it's going to be similar to that. So let me go, let's see log. Yeah, right? So if I go recording format, yeah, so then we have this one, XF-AVC. So XF-AVC all intra. And what we're gonna have, XF-AVC all intra, and then we're gonna have option to shoot 50p or 25p. All right, so the option is there. And it's really, really make a massive, massive difference. And especially if you don't want to record, if you want to record higher frame rate, right, 60p or 50p, then later you're going to slow it down, right? So then you can still record XF-AVC, so that you still have that high quality image and higher dynamic range, and then you have the flexibility for editing later, and you can slow it down too, right? And that, I think for me, is really massive improvement. All right. So I think those two, for me, those two massive, massive improvement. There is other improvement that also Canon, bringing with that new firmware update. With that build, because now we have a profile, a picture profile, right? We have a picture profile. And the option that we have in the current C70 is that if you're not shooting log, then the other option of profile that you have is the wide dynamic range or the BT709. And what Canon bringing with this new firmware update is another picture profile, right? It's called, whatever that is called, CT709. Yeah, CT709. And it will give you, again, that flexibility of wide dynamic range. It gives you a wider dynamic range, right? But still give you the flexibility for quick, and also have that cinematic look to it, right? Not digital, but has that cinematic look to it. So it's, again, that's improvement for quick turnaround. And for me, is a really, really massive. One other addition with the Canon C70 that new firmware going to bring is that in the current situation, in the current firmware, when you're shooting external monitor, you don't have option for the view assistant. But this new firmware going to bring the ability for internally having a view assistant. Your footage is still recording and C-log, but you can project into the external monitor a view assistant. Canon call it CMT709. Here's another improvement. In the current firmware, we have 4 audio channels into the Canon C70 when you go into the menu. The 2 from the XLR, and there's a 2 extra. If you're using the mini jack microphone, so that's why the microphone go to it. But the challenge is that it does not display that in the LCD screen. You only see the 2, which is the mini XLR. So that sometimes it's really difficult to properly monitor, like changing the volume, reduce the volume, increase the volume, and all those kind of things. Make it really difficult. So with that new firmware update, Now there will be ability to display 4 audio channel into the LCD screen, so that you have the ability kind of to play with it, to monitor it, to change it, and also I think that is also really massively important. If somebody hasn't got a XLR, microphone, if you have the Rode NTG and all those kind of things, so then it's important that you're able to monitor and reduce the volume and all those kind of things. So that's also a great addition to that. There is other as well, but those are the most important that I want to share with you, so that you know what is that firmware update going to bring. So I'm really looking forward for when the firmware update going to be released. And the date for the release of that new firmware update for the Canon C70 is, for now, 8th of December. So we have just few weeks to go. I mean, it's about, just today is the 2010. It's just over 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks and 4 days or something like that to go. Yeah, just over 2 weeks. And I'm really, really, really looking forward for that. So, Hakuna Matata, my friend. And that's the video that I want to share with you. I want to give you that information so you know the Canon C70 is receiving a new firmware update. Is a massive firmware update from the last firmware update that we had additional of the raw, light, internal recording, and now we have eye detection in. We can record up to 120 frames per second with the autofocus in there. We have addition to XF-AVC up to 60p, up to 600 megabit per second recording internally. I mean, yeah, Canon just keep improving the Canon C70. And I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased. All right, Hakuna Matata, my friend. So that's the video here there for you. I hope you find it very, very useful. If so, if you have not given a thumbs up, please give me a thumbs up. Yeah. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button right now. And as always, I will say, love, stay protected, peace, and God bless you. And I will see you in my next video. Ciao, bye now. Yeah.